What about justice for the people that could have died because
Scroll
of
up to the
Jai?
top here. That is a man who failed as a father, and his son is dead because he failed to do his job. So the story that Carly's looking up is the story of a New South
Go
Wales
ABC.
A New South Wales police sergeant has been found guilty of being responsible for the death of a 16-year-old Jai Wright. Now, this is a really significant court case for lots of reasons. Jai died about 3 years ago. He was 16 years of age. He was riding a motorcycle that he had stolen, was trying to evade capture from police, and was riding at extremely high speed, as is evident from the injuries, the impact itself, and the circumstances that unfolded. So the police officer, whose first name I don't recall, but he's Bryant is his last name. Benedict Bryant. The police officer, 22 years of experience in the police force, was driving an unmarked car, responded to a call, went to an area where he knew that stolen vehicles often got dumped. So the other thing, Jai had stolen the motorbike. Someone else had stolen a car from the same property. So presumably he was working as part of a team of people that were just stealing vehicles and joyriding, dumping, who knows what. And so this officer drove towards that area, then received a call that told him that all New South Wales police do not pursue, right? And they do that for arguably legitimate reasons. They're concerned about how reckless the person's going to be if they get pursued, and that becomes a danger to the public. And there is a place for that. Whether that's the right judgment call in each individual case is a matter for other people to decide. But there is a place for that, so I'm going to let that go. The New South Wales police have said, too dangerous to pursue, let him go. Now, the timing of everything down to the second isn't entirely clear to me, but that call had come through, and then the officer pulled up at an intersection having seen Jai on the motorbike, and he stopped in this intersection. There was another unmarked car as well that it would seem was probably between him and Jai on the motorbike and obscured his ability to see how fast Jai was going. He comes to a complete halt, and sometime, I believe shortly after, a matter of seconds possibly, but certainly not long, Jai then collides with the front corner of his stationary car, suffers head injuries as a result of the crash on the bonnet of the car and on the ground beyond, that he then dies from. That's the circumstance.
Yeah.
Out of that, on the day that so there's a statute of limitations. On the day that would have expired, charges were laid by the DPP. Now, the police investigated, and they said, we don't believe there's a case to answer here. We don't believe that he's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
The DPP then pressed charges on the very last day before the statute of limitations would have expired. That is what has now led to this guilty verdict. Now, the guilty verdict is, I'm not going to get the words exactly right, but it's essentially operating a vehicle in a way that has caused the death of somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? The prosecution argued that because of his 22 years of experience, he ought to have known that the motorbike was not going to stop. He should have been able to mind read somehow and make his car, disappear, phase shift so that Jai could pass right through it without an impact. I'm like break the laws of physics. I'm not quite sure what he was supposed to do with that knowledge.
I've got the judge's comments here. Yeah. So what was significant was that the judge made it clear that the police officer should have known that Jai Wright would have sought to escape. So what the judge said was that the death was foreseeable, and the police officer knew that it was foreseeable and continued to create this obstruction that caused his death nonetheless.
Now, do they have in this article the photograph of the intersection? Because there is a New South Wales, a Polair photograph. No, they don't. That puts the lie to this. Oh, no, keep going up. Is this...
No.
Okay, it's a different article, yeah. So the intersection is large. The car does not block it. Jai was on an off-road motorbike that could have easily gone footpath. He should have easily been able to stop if he was doing anything other than exceptionally high, reckless speeds. And to put it on a police officer to say, in the seconds that you have, in the moments that you have as you pull into an intersection, trying to take stock of a situation with another police car between you and this motorcycle that's moving at an unknown speed, being ridden by someone who has stolen it, that you have to be able to make that judgment call and position your car so that it cannot possibly cause harm, so that it can't get hit.
Yeah.
This is madness.
When
this
they
is so
talk
absurd.
about justice for Jai, I mean, it's terrible that a young kid lost his life. The kid was on a stolen bike, causing havoc, riding at dangerous speeds, and they're like, we need justice for Jai. What about justice for the people that could have died because of Jai?
Scroll up to the top here. I want you to look at this. This is his dad. This is his dad speaking and celebrating along with a whole bunch of other people. Look at them all. They're all wearing this sort of uniform. The Aboriginal Legal Services got behind them. And he's celebrating that this is some sort of a victory. And he's saying, oh, this should never have happened. He shouldn't have died that day. Well, you're damn right he shouldn't have, because you should have whooped his ass the minute that he started to step out of line and hang out with the kinds of people that steal vehicles and go joyriding and evade arrest. Let me finish. I'm going to say the unsayable thing. He failed as a dad.
Yeah.
He failed as a dad. He can grandstand all he wants. He can deflect responsibility all he wants. He can blame the system all he wants. That is a man who failed as a father, and his son is dead because he failed to do his job.
Yeah. I back you up on that. I agree. Whether he's Aboriginal or not is irrelevant here. I think that
I make no reference to race whatsoever.
Yeah, the whole thing is so irrelevant. The fact is, this kid was doing the wrong thing, joyriding. Let me flip the script. What if Jai had injured a pedestrian and killed the pedestrian?
Yep, entirely possible.
And Jai was on a stolen motorbike, driving at excessive speeds, kills someone totally innocent. He would get out of jail because it would be seen as, it was an accident, it was meant to be. What part of riding a stolen bike is an accident? Yeah. It's not an accident. Yeah. Like, our judicial system is a joke. Our laws are a joke. This is an upside down world.
We are literally turning the criminals into victims and 100%. Everyone else into criminals. Now, can you go to the other article?
Yes. So,
because this is important. Now that you understand the context of what happened here.
Okay, so when I Googled it before, this is what popped up.
This is the first one that came up.
Sydney Criminal Lawyers. And the headline reads, first ever conviction of an Australian police officer over an Aboriginal death in custody.
They have classified this as a death in custody.
He wasn't in custody. He was driving a stolen motorbike at excessive speed. What part of that's custody?
This is a death whilst trying to evade custody. That's what this is.
Look at this. I just noticed this. It says up here, I don't know if you can see that. It says fact checked. Fact checked.
By whom? So what's really offensive about this is...
Information on this page was reviewed by a specialist defence lawyer before being published. Wow.
Defence lawyer. So in other words, we can't get sued for it. So it has been classified as a death in custody. This is the thing. They're not actually lying with that headline. This has been classified as a death in custody because in custody includes any time that they're interacting with police. So, even when they're actively trying to evade police.
Can I just read this bit? So the New South Wales officer was found guilty over the death in custody, which was not only significant for the family, but the dangerous driving causing death conviction was further consequential, as it was the first time a New South Wales officer has been convicted over an Aboriginal death. In fact, in the first time any Australian police officer has been. So this guy's the scapegoat. He's the fall guy.
He's the fall guy, but notice how they're making it all about the Aboriginal and not about the riding a stolen motorbike while 16 years of age.
So the car was stationary, and that's his fault that the kid drove into the car.
He should have known where that motorbike was going to go.
Can we just flip to, I don't know if this is worth saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Didn't a illustrious ex-premier of Victoria have a similar situation where a young boy on a bike impacted his car, and that person has faced no charges whatsoever, so much so that young boy almost lost their life? But in that particular case, Ryan Muirleman, the boy who hit the car of Daniel Andrews, because he hit him, obviously, the child was at fault in that. Isn't it funny how the race is swapped and the story's completely different, and it's the stationary car that's responsible for the murder, but the car driving that the young kid on the bike rode into, that one wasn't at fault. Isn't that fascinating?
I'm thinking back as hard as I can, but honestly, I don't recall.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Did you think about that one?
I hadn't made that connection.
Yeah.
No.
Isn't that fascinating? Isn't it fascinating? So, obviously, I'm being facetious here. In Victoria, Daniel Andrews or Kath Andrews, I believe.
Yeah, well, yes.
So the story goes.
So the story goes, yes.
Was driving a car at a very normal speed. They were doing the speed limit. No one was drunk, allegedly. And
no, apparently that actually slowed to a crawl at that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
Which is why the bike impacted the front guard in front of the front wheel, and he went over the windscreen. Because the car was barely moving, you understand. It was all him. It was all the cyclist moving too fast.
Yeah, because people on bikes on a footpath can go like 80 kilometers an hour. Obviously, it makes sense. They're like a moving bullet.
Yeah, and it's like, well, bullet is a good analogy because it's the ricochet. Like he slammed into the front guard and then ricocheted backwards over the.
I don't know about you, but when I'm pedaling a bike down a suburban street, I'm going at least 80 to 100 kilometers an hour.
Weak. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, hi. You're still here. I just assumed everyone had left because Carly always falls asleep. Let's be honest. Oh, is that just me? I fall asleep because Carly. I don't know. Anyway, you're still here. So, did you just hit the Carly? Did you just reach? Seriously? Can you not leave well enough alone?
No, I must infiltrate every part of your life.
Back to me. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, because I suffer through Carly twice a week for you. I drive hours from where I live down to Melbourne to be tortured by Carly every week, and I do it for you because I love you so much. So please help me out. Just like, comment, subscribe, share the show, make sure that everyone else can join in the fun, and show up next week for like more oddcasty goodness. And if you really, really want to help me, then you can buy me a coffee via that little QR code there. You'll be supporting the show and helping me to tolerate Carly.